Florida has 3 mangrove species. Worldwide, there are over 70 species of plants that are classified as mangroves. Here in Florida, these tree species are going to be located in our estuary systems. Estuaries are characterized by their brackish water, which is a combination of fresh and salt water. They exist in the areas in our bays and intertidal areas that don't get as much wave action and energy. These 3 species are protected by state law, and we can identify them through various different characteristics that they have. All 3 of the state-protected mangrove species have an opposite leaf arrangement. So if you look closely at the stem of the plant, you'll see that the leaves are arranged opposite from each other. They also are all tolerant of salt water. They're tolerant of it in different ways, though. The red mangrove is what's called a salt excluder. So it's going to close off its body and try to keep the salt out. The white mangroves and black mangroves are salt extruders. They push the salt out through their bodies. And in fact, the salt will crystallize on the black mangrove leaves and make them very sparkly in the afternoon sun. All 3 of these species are found, as I said, in the estuary system, but not all in the same location. Red mangroves are going to be furthest waterward because they have these arching prop roots, the reddish roots that reach down from high up into the canopy and into the water. These adventitious roots allow red mangroves to grow islands. They grow horizontally, reaching out into the water, grabbing detritus, building soil, and forming whole islands. Red mangroves are characterized by these reddish prop roots, as well as their large lime green pointy leaves. The top of the leaf is a slightly darker green than the underside of the leaf, which is very bright yellow green. They also have very characteristic propagules. You can see the red mangrove propagules here dangling down like beans or pencils from this red mangrove. These propagules are little baby trees ready to start out where they find suitable habitat. They can float in the open ocean for a year before they land somewhere that feels right. And then they pick themselves up and they set out new roots. Each of these little seeds starts out as a flower. Red mangroves flower and fruit year-round here in Florida, while black and white mangroves tend to focus their flowering and fruiting in March through June. So here we can see up close and personal a red mangrove. Red mangroves have, again, these nice bright pointed leaves, lime green on the bottom, darker green on top. And you can see here we also have the individual flowers on the red mangrove. You'll have flowers and propagules at the same time. You'll notice if you look up close at the propagules that we have little bumps along them. And here I can show an up close right here. See, each of these little bumps along here is going to be what's called a lenticel, and the lenticels can open and close on the plant, allowing it to exchange gases and also to protect itself from the salt. This whole baby tree, this is the root, and up here at the top will become the new leaf, will find itself a new home and put on new adventitious roots. A tree, like you see here, this red mangrove, whose state champion in Florida is over 60 feet tall, are maintained as small bushes. Mangroves provide a critical function to our local ecosystems. Not only are they beautiful and serve as a great recreational opportunity for people visiting Florida, they also act as bird rookeries, providing habitat for many endangered and threatened bird species. And then as we go down the trunk and meet the water, the roots that the mangroves have provide essential shelter for our fish species. 80% of all commercially and recreationally important fish species in Florida start out in mangrove ecosystems. Even our giant fish like the Goliath grouper and snook and tarpon rely on mangroves for their life cycle. Mangroves not only provide critical habitat, but they also act as the kidneys of the coast, pulling out all kinds of pollutants out of the water, trapping sediments, trapping garbage, pulling out nutrients from the water, and providing key water clarity further downstream out into the bay and out into the Gulf for our seagrasses and our reef systems. Mangroves also act as a huge sponge for wind and wave energy during extreme storm events. We can see, in fact, that wind and wave energy can be reduced by as much as 60% when you have a mature mangrove fringe. They are something that everyone should want along their coastline to help protect their property. Since mangroves can absorb wind and wave energy, sometimes they take damage. You can see here some evidence from last year's strong storm season. But one of the great things about mangroves is that they're so prolific, they produce so many offspring that they're going to rehabilitate in this area and regrow in a very quick time frame. So even where you have large areas of canopy that's knocked down, you can usually expect that area to have a full new canopy within 5 to 10 years. Red mangroves have these extensive prop root systems, and one of the things that's fascinating about them is that you can have individual red mangrove plants whose roots overlap each other, and then they'll naturally graft to each other because they're the same species. Mangroves in coastal environments are often pinched between human development and the coastline. They have limited ability to retreat inward because there are seawalls or there are other types of human development kind of blocking their path landward. One of the 3 species of mangroves that we have in Florida is the white mangrove. White mangroves are characterized by a rounder leaf, often with a slight notch in the tip of the leaf. On the petiole, you can see these 2 little bumps right there, and that helps you identify the plant. If we look up here, we can see that this white mangrove is full of little propagules. They look kind of like teardrops, and these will fall off of the tree and will become new white mangroves. White mangroves are typically found furthest inland of the 3 species we have here in Florida, and they don't have any visible root structures like our red and our black mangroves. Black mangroves also have visible roots. They have pneumatophores that come up out of the soil, reaching up and allowing the plant to breathe even while they're in inundated soil environments. The propagules of the black mangrove look kind of like big warty lima beans. You can see them here. All 3 of our mangrove species are essential to provide protection to our shorelines here in Florida. Find out more about how you can take care of mangroves in the available video series. I'm Alyssa Vinson, your Urban Forestry Extension Agent with IFAS in Hillsborough County.